Thank you, Harry, for that rendition of Sketchbook. And welcome to the Hugs Not Drugs show, or the Hugs Not Drugs podcast. What are you talking about, John? John Barleycorn here, and I'm with Dr. Uggs. I'm surprised he didn't interrupt me when I made that mistake of saying the Hugs Not Drugs show instead of the podcast. Are you still sleeping, Dr. Uggs?
Shut up, would you? I'm just letting you go for what you are.
What am I?
I'm not going to be able to say it because we're trying to keep this to be family-oriented. But suffice it to say, you disgust me.
Well, I think what you're doing right now is baiting me. Baiting me? B-A-I-T-I-N-G.
Yeah, spell it out because you don't pronounce words very good, do you?
Oh, you've got your ugly shoes on today, don't you, Dr. Uggs? Oh. What do you got to say, Harry? Hugs Not Drugs, I mean. Oh, poor Dr. Uggs. You got off on the right side of the bed, and he's sharing what he thinks is his honest opinion, which is really the psychopath, not the spiritual path. Let's try to live the spiritual path. How about it, Dr. Uggs?
Why don't you both shut up?
You know, I think you may be a little upset about our topic today, huh?
Yeah, I am a little upset about the topic. I mean, this Hugs Not Drugs podcast is supposed to help motivated people in recovery from mood-altering addictions and get additional skills for their personal health by enjoying the inspirational stories and educational information and entertainment that's provided. But guess what? You're going to talk about one thing and one thing only today. The thing I hate the most.
And what's that, Dr. Uggs?
Spirituality. I hate it.
Why do you hate it so much?
Because I can't get you guys to use anymore when you're in a spiritual state of being.
Hugs Not Drugs here. You're absolutely right, Dr. Uggs. Spirituality is a 12-letter word, meaning a 4-letter word, love.
I think I'm going to throw up. Oh, this is killing me.
Barleycorn here. I'm gonna tell a story today about a friend of mine that really helped me in my recovery effort and taught me so much about spirituality. His name was, I'll give him the name. Let's call him Bill C. That's not his real name, but I don't want to give away too much. He was a World War II hero. Bill has passed away now. Surely he would be over 100 years old now if he were alive. He's not alive, and he had a wonderful life. And I met him when he had 25 years of recovery. Now, Bill lived in Annapolis, Maryland, where I got sober in Annapolis, Maryland, and he was just a wonderful, wonderful gentleman. He got a PhD while he was still drinking after World War II, got the GI Bill, and really studied hard, drank a lot, and because he was in a middle stage of addiction, not the late stage of addiction, he was able to function, was able to get his PhD in history. He loved history. And prior to that, he in the war, before he got his GI Bill, he fought in World War II and was the skipper of a PT boat. Not unlike JFK, who saved our lives when his PT boat went down. Well, Bill's PT boat went down too, and he was able to save the lives of his crew also. So it was very interesting man, and he was a great man as far as I'm concerned once he got recovery. Now, he got recovery right after he became a college professor and did quite well until he got promoted to a head of a history department. I think it was in Nebraska. He was out in the Midwest anyway, near, and he really had 8 years of recovery, and he only did, he was what we famously call a two-stepper. He did the first step. He admitted he was powerless over alcohol and his life was unmanageable, but he helped a lot of people. So he did the 12th step. He didn't necessarily have a spiritual awakening, but he did try to carry the message to other alcoholics and to practice the principles of honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness to the best of his ability. So he stayed sober for 8 years. But something went awry. He stopped going to meetings and he stopped helping people, and he went to take a vacation with his wonderful wife in France, and he drank when he was in France. And his wife said, "What the hell's wrong with you, Bill? What are you doing?" And he said, it was just a mistake. I'll go back to AA. And then they went to Scotland and visited Scotland, and he got drunk on Scotch whiskey. And his wife was very, very upset. She said, "Bill, you're really going off the deep end." He said, "Don't worry, I'll go back to AA. Everything will be fine." Well, he didn't go back to AA, and everything wasn't fine. For the next 3 years, he lost his job, couldn't hold that anymore. He was in late stages of alcoholism. He needed the drink to live. He drank. He lived to drink, and his marriage suffered greatly, and he ended up moving to Rhode Island, and he ended up the town drunk in a Rhode Island town, and it was just horrible. And he, always being highly educated, he didn't think that he needed any kind of belief in a higher power. He was pretty agnostic and had educated himself to the point of ignorance that there could be a higher power. What he really needed to do was change his mind, and he wasn't able to do that because of the drinking and his pride. So one day he got into a terrible jam, and he ended up living on the street and getting chased by wild dogs in the neighborhood, and that was his bottom. And he started praying and going back to AA, and he started saying the third step prayer of that he learned in Alcoholics Anonymous, which is, "God, I offer myself to you to do with me as you will. Relieve me of the bondage of self that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help with thy power, thy love, thy way of life. May I do thy will always." So he got sober. He started working again. He got back into teaching. He got a job, moved to Annapolis, lived in Annapolis for about 25 years. That's when I met him, and I was newly in sobriety, and I just admired the man greatly because he really walked his talk. And he went through all 12 steps. You know, the first 3 steps are honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness, like we talked about. And those are principles of great value to anyone that practices those 3 concepts. HOW, honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. When we practice that, we get better and better at it, of course. Like if you practice a musical instrument, you get better and better. Practice makes progress, never perfect. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice.
Boy, you're really going on with this one, aren't you? Oh, my God.
Yeah, just listen to learn and learn to listen, Dr. Uggs, because I'm not through with the lesson, the best lesson that Bill taught me. So I was going to an AA meeting, and I had my head down. It was noon. I was in early recovery. I had a hard way to go to get well. Had a lot of anger issues that I was working through. I was quite depressed that, I was like 32, 33 years old at this point and didn't have a whole lot in my life. I was still living at home, my parents' house. They were happy that I was not drinking and drugging anymore and stuff, and they gave me a place to live. But I felt less than because I didn't have any relationships. I was too afraid to be in relationships. I had the weight of the world on my shoulders, and this was just before I started really working the 12-step. I had been doing some volunteer work, but nobody was really interested in what I had and wanted me to mentor them. And I really wanted to mentor people. I thought I had something to give and something to offer people, but it just wasn't happening. So I had my head down, and I was walking toward the AA meeting, and Phil was going in the opposite direction, and he saw me on the street. "Hey, John Barleycorn, what's up?" And I told him, gave him my what I was thinking and feeling, and he said, "That is horrible. My gosh, you're not going to drink over this, are you?" I said, "Hell no." And he looked at me and he said, as a war hero that it's seen and had to deal with his own trauma in life, and come out the other side of that and go through his pain, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. He said, he gave in his rough military voice, "Well then, F it, if you're not going." And I just looked at him and smiled. It was a nice way. It didn't really matter. If I'm not going to drink and I keep on sharing about it, this too shall pass. That's what he was telling me. And he was telling me in that gruff military voice that I could hear. And I just adopted that to the short version of the Serenity Prayer. F it, to me, is the short version of the Serenity Prayer.
Oh, how cute. That's very cute.
Listen up, Dr. Uggs. I'm not finished yet. So when I have anger issues, had a lot of anger issues, and did not deal with those, or I was dealing with those and not drinking, but it was very, very inarticulate the way I was dealing with my anger issues for a long time. And finally, before I got married, fell in love, and I was afraid that my anger would interfere with my relationship. I'm pretty sure that it would have. So I went into therapy for a year to deal with my anger issues, and got a good therapist, and did a lot of talk therapy with them, and read a lot of books. Of Course You're Angry was one of them, and it was a workbook, and just started naming, claiming, and processing anger and dealing with that through opposite action. Learned a lot of skills and taught a lot of skills after I learned them with other people with anger issues. It's okay to be angry. It's what you do with it. Of course we're angry. The way we lived, we had to deal with it. And one of the biggest things to deal with anger is to have a spiritual connection, taking God with us every day. When we have feelings of mad, glad, sad, and scared, we need to name, claim, and process them. And that's what we do when we're spiritual.
Can we take a break?
All right. I'll concede. We need to take a break. So why don't you do a commercial, Doctor?
Thank you. The Hugs Not Drugs podcast is sponsored by John Forlenza-Bailey's The Transformation of Dr. Uggs. That book is out there. What is The Transformation of Dr. Uggs? It's an original story that explains the progression of the disease of chemical dependency. It's not intended to be a story about blaming others for the acquisition of an illness. This story is intended to explain, not to blame. It is a story of discovery, insight, acceptance, and finally to do the right choices to live drug-free if one is chemically dependent. Also, John Forlenza-Bailey wrote another book, The Road to Wellness Workbook, and that is basically treatment for about $10 or so. You can buy that book and do the exercises in it with a mentor. If you have a substance abuse problem, if you're a mentor and you want to help somebody, buy the book and go through the exercises with them so that they can stabilize for the first 30 days of their recovery. Treatment works. Recovery is available to anybody that wants it. And if you're out there and you want it, please get help. If not with the Road to Wellness Workbook, treatment, detox, etc. Nobody deserves to live in the hell of addiction. I can't believe I'm saying that as Dr. Uggs, but that's what they're making me do so I can live with them.
Hugs Not Drugs here. You're absolutely right. Love is the answer, whatever the question. And maybe one day Dr. Uggs will disappear. Who knows?
I doubt it. If you're strong, I'm stronger.
Well, day at a time, we're not doing that. So, well, thanks for the commercial anyway. Now get back to you, Barleycorn. Let's sum this up and do a little wrap-up. So we've been talking about, thank you, Hugs Not Drugs. You have the same voice as me. How weird, huh? So here we go with spirituality. I read from a meditation book, and I like to read something from that right now. I feel the more I know God, that He will sooner we did wrong in loving than never love for fear we should do wrong. That's kind of complicated, isn't it? I feel the more I know God, that He would sooner we did wrong in loving than never love for fear of we should do wrong. I'll say it one more time. Three's a charm. I feel the more I know God, that He would sooner He did wrong in loving than never love for fear we should do wrong. Basically, this is a steal from Shakespeare as far as it's better to love and lost than to never loved at all. Well, making mistakes does not mean that you don't love. It just means that you're human. You have human frailties, and we all make mistakes. Spirituality is knowing that we're not mistakes, that we make mistakes, and we need to forgive ourselves and forgive others. And if we love ourselves, we can love others better. So this journey of self, the Greeks used to say it best, the unexamined life is not worth living. We need to examine our lives on a daily basis. Staying in the moment is the best way to do that, day at a time. Well, this seems to be a short podcast today. I don't have a whole lot more.
Thank you. I'm so glad it's almost over. Holy jump, man. This stuff gives me the willies of spirituality.
Hugs Not Drugs here. Spirituality is the way up and out. And that's how I hit my bottom when I was in that criminally insane place. Didn't know when I was getting out. Got into a fight and wanted to kill somebody.
Yeah, those were the days, weren't they?
Yeah, that scared the bejesus out of me, Dr. Uggs. Hugs Not Drugs here. I really did realize that I had hit a bottom that I did not want to have. I realized when I looked in the mirror, I saw a dead man. I know we're all going to die. Intellectually, I knew that. But emotionally, I did not want to. I was scared that I was going to die being part of a problem instead of part of a solution. And I desperately wanted to be part of a solution instead of part of a problem. So I did become a mentor eventually. After talking to Bill C. that day, I went to an AA meeting. John Barleycorn here. I went to an AA meeting, and I said, I've been sober for 2 years, and nobody's asked for me to mentor them. And I really have something to offer now. I do know about recovery, and I want to help if anybody wants my help. Right after the meeting, 4 young men that I knew came up to me and asked me for help. And I mentored them for the next 4 years that I lived in Maryland. And like I said, I fell in love with somebody in New Mexico and at an addictions conference, and moved back to the East Coast with them. And interesting story, when I got into recovery, people were legitimately afraid of me because Dr. Uggs was still in my persona and trying to be dominant.
Yeah, those were the great days, weren't they?
No, they weren't. I mean, it kept people very afraid of me. But through the years, Hugs Not Drugs kept on learning and living and shining by not using, trusting God, and pursuing recovery. So eventually I became an alcohol and drug counselor and had that career, fell in love, and still in love with the same person, beautiful person. For the last 38 years, we raised 2 kids.
And they lived happily ever after. Yeah, that happily ever after, that's kind of inside joke.
You're absolutely right, Dr. Uggs. John Barleycorn here. Love, happily ever after is kind of an inside joke. If you want to be, happiness is a byproduct of living right. So if you want to live right, be spiritual. Take the spiritual path instead of the psychopath. And we're going to do that today. Just for today, we're not going to use. And trust a higher power, clean our house, and help others. So everybody have a great day. That's the end of our show.
Thank goodness. This has been a real bummer for me, I'll tell you that.
Peace out, everybody. Love you all. Take care. Harry, take us out.